Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Um, Mine was good, peaceful, um, a little busy, a little boring, a bit of everything in there. So, excuse me. Um, I did the haul video with these alphabet dies from Stamps of Life, and everybody is kind of like, well, I have um, a bunch of letter dies, and so do I. And I'm getting the auto shipment from Diamond Press. And there was just something about these, though. I also had a comment that some people didn't like, that you have to cut them all out. And so we're just gonna kind of play with these today, or right now, anyways. I've got some white paper, and I wanted to get some blue. Maybe not. Maybe we'll do black. How about just black and white, and that'll make it easy for you to see. We'll put them together. We'll do different things. I have my Grand Marquis here. I have the short folder for the Grand Marquis, and it fits pretty nice on here. So I thought that would be good. These are the letters. These are the shadows. So I think I'll do shadow first. In black. There's something about the air out here in Idaho. I'm not going to say there's not. I actually went into, right now I'm in a little town outside of Boise, about 45 minutes or so. And went into Idaho yesterday. Into Boise. I'm about 45 minutes outside of Boise. Yesterday, I went into Boise, and the air, even the view was not well. It looked like smoky and foggy like, and the air just felt thick. And I don't know if that's after being in Vegas, I just don't want the humidity anymore, or honestly, I don't know what the deal is. Now, here, I have a kind of a template if you want to use it that way, right? You could dab ink through if you wanted to or something. You probably would want a more substantial cardstock than what I've used. And here's the letters. And I don't have a pokey tool, so let's hope that helps. That did some, I see. Some, not a lot. Well, that came out pretty easy. The rest of them come out that easy. If my nails can get in there. No. Oh. Wishing I had my pokey tool. I don't have the pins close because I'm not in the same room anymore. Because those pins would work. That G doesn't want to come out. Let me try the P. It doesn't want to come out either. Tomato, tomato. Right. Okay. Now I'm down to the G. There we go. All right. So let's get the little pieces out. So I have to say they cut nice and clean. Whoa. Okay, so these are the shadow layers. And let's do these now. In the white. And none of this stuff's very thick, so it's hard when you've been using that Crafter's Companion white cardstock and you get other, and it's just does not, it does just not meet the standard rate of what you're used to. Makes things a little bit harder, but I'm thinking that some of these don't even look like a shadow layer, right? Some of them do, like the K, the Y, but some of them, here, the A looks like a shadow layer, but some of these do not look like a shadow layer. So if depending on the word you're spelling, or whatever you're putting, look at that. So let me find the C shadow, and we're gonna try their adhesive. So it's saying to put this on the back, put it on the back of your paper and then cut your paper. So this might not work for it might not work so you got two of them. No, there's more than two, but they're very thin. So it is an adhesive sheet. It's not dots. So it's not gonna make it sticky under, which would be helpful. But we'll try it and see, but I don't think it's going to work that way. No, because that's sticky. So that's not gonna, well, it's just not what I expected. So that's not gonna work. So we'll be using glue, hopefully. I didn't really try to make sure the glue was working either, so I just now did it and it is working. This is the thing with these, right? Sometimes it's difficult to get them on right. A little bit of wiggle time is nice. Okay, there's the C. Let's do some more here. Let's see. Seems like I'm gonna get the harder ones first. Here's a G, and here's the shadow for the G. That one went pretty easy. How did I do? It needs to come over just a little bit. And now down just a little. I tweaked that too far down. Okay, there's the G. Okay, we're getting ready to dump. I might move this out of the way so I have room to spread these out so that I can find them. Let's go ahead and work on these. I love the hashtag. I love the hashtag. That is cute. There's no shadow layer for that though. You know, obviously the shadow layer takes up more room. The letters take up more room. So there's no shadow layer for it. You can always make your own. I'm looking for a Z. Z. D. My problem when I get these alphabet dies is getting them on the page nice, spaced even and all that. And I guess you bring a ruler and put it down, and I sometimes just don't have the patience for that. E. It's funny because I'll do things and people will leave the comment about my patience. And I have patience with some things, and some things I don't. So I can sit and paper piece all day long and it doesn't bother me, but try to line up letters straight on a page, and I don't have the patience for that. So I guess it's kind of an individual thing. That's what's kind of nice about having repositionable tape or whatever. You can lay them down, and if it's not right, you can get them and move them up. See, that's not right. And it looks like the glue is kind of dried on there. So I might have fixed it a little bit. Look at the eye. Now that is skinny. Let's see, where is the shadow layer for that eye? Here it is. You don't have to put a shadow layer on. I like the idea of having a shadow layer. That is an insert. Not an insert, but you know, the middle of something, a piece that's a scrap piece. I think it's going fairly well, I think. It might be a little bit easier than I expected it to be. Not easier. They're just going together better, faster than I thought they would be. Here's a question mark. Huh. That's a big question mark. There's also a small one here. So there's the big one and the small one. So these must be the shadow layers for this. So you would run it through. I'm not going to do that today, obviously. There's an exclamation point. I'm not going to do that. Oh my goodness, how did I not see that? Look at the at. At. probably see it better there. Is that not cute? I think it is. So see, here's another hashtag. So if I ran it through black and then white, I would have my shadow layer for it. I'm gonna keep that, just I don't know why, but okay. I don't know if you can hear background noises. If you are, I apologize. There is laundry going right now. I'm hoping you don't hear it. It's in another room, but I can hear it. Okay. There's my B. B. And W. Make sure you have the W and not the M, which with these letters is very different. Sometimes they're not, but this one is. Don't think that's your M and that's your W. But like I said, with these ones, it's very obvious. I like that. Some fonts are not like that, right? I want to know what everybody did for Labor Day. Labor Day. Back when I was a kid, Labor Day was kind of after Labor Day was when everybody started going back to school and stuff. Now everybody goes back to school and stuff more in August. We used to get out in June, go back in September. Now it seems like some of them, they're getting out in May and they're going back in August. And I don't, to me, so I don't know if it's a misconception that the reason there was no school in the summertime was from when kids worked on the farm and stuff. And so they would be off in the summertime to harvest, right? In a lot of places, harvest isn't until later. But now I think, you know, even if that doesn't apply now, I would still think you would want to wait because air conditioning is so expensive to run. So why wouldn't you, for the hottest months, me thinking that's June, July, and August, why wouldn't you want the kids out of school so they're not paying those high air conditioning bills. I don't know why everybody decided earlier was better. I really don't know. I remember when my kids went to school and their school went to year round. And, you had tracks A, B, C, and D. And everybody was putting their kids on track D because it was they thought it felt more traditional, even though they went to school for 3 months and were off a month, right? I picked B. The reason I picked B was one reason. Because that was the track that was off after Christmas. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it make more sense to keep the kids home on the winter month that they're going to have all these new toys? All the new toys to play with and stuff. And let's see, December, January, February, March. So they'd be off in April, and then May, June, July, and then they would be off in August. I think. I could be wrong. But it's kind of along those lines. So they're still off a summer month. And so they went on B track. And to be honest with you, most of my friends that started off with D track then later on wanted to switch to B track. And because of space and all of that, sometimes they didn't get their wish. It's like, well, you chose D. I never regretted B track, not one bit. And I think my kids appreciated it too. So, okay, do I need to do any more of these letters? I think I've done quite a bit of them. But the other comment I got was that you have to do all the letters. And it cuts out all the letters. You have to do all the letters. Well, you can save some of the letters, but you would end up, with a lot of letters that are very, very rarely used, right? Because that's just the way things work. There's just some letters that are used a lot and some that are barely used. Now these were the uppercase. Let's do some of the lowercase letters. I'm going to push this to the side. But let's pick the letters we want. And let's see how difficult it is to just pick the letters we want. Because it I don't know. It could be a difficult thing. It maybe isn't that difficult. So we have to think of a letter that we want. What word would we like to do? How about... My biggest problem is probably going to be figuring out which ones are what letter. I'm not going to lie. These are the letters. These are the shadows. It's pretty small. Now, I don't have tape. I might have some somewhere, but I don't know where I would find it. So let's say I just want to do love. And I'm assuming if you're home, where's the E? See? Now, did I cover it up? L. Where's the E? That must be the E. E. O. L. V. Now, if I had tape, I would tape those down. I don't have tape, so I can't tape them down. I say I would tape them down, and then I don't tape them down, and I always end up with something sliding, right? And then I say, why don't I just tape them down? It would be easier to just tape it down. Or I think I'm saving myself trouble, and I'm not. I'm just making it more difficult for me. If you're new to my channel, if you haven't watched me, that's kind of I do that all the time. Okay, let's see, how hard was that? Was I successful? Did I waste a lot of paper? Maybe. There's the E. There's the V. There's the L. There's the O. I mean, I got quite a few scraps. L. I'm doing this because this was a concern that was brought up, like you have to do every letter. And so I thought about that, and I thought, that's a legitimate concern. A legitimate complaint. That's how much scrap I got from doing just 4 letters. Yeah, that's quite a bit. I'm not gonna say it's not. Now, my main thing was I liked that they were all together, because this way, in my little journal, I can just stick these 4 plates, right? And just have an easy font that's going to be the same throughout my planner journal. So You know I'm going to use the word love. These are going to be even thinner, so I might end up with even more waste. L O E and V. And V. Not envy, and V. Okay. So this is probably what I would do. I would go ahead and run the whole thing through. And then when I got to where I had a whole bunch of letters anyways, then I would probably start doing individual letters. Right, because you always need extra A's, extra E's. What other letters? Do we use a lot of? I didn't do the O. I didn't do the O. Yeah, I did. No. What is that from? I thought I did them all. I didn't do the O. Well, that really is in there. It looks like I did the O. Was that from the E? All right, I guess so. No, that's from the E. So, what happened to my... There's even the middle section of the O. I dropped it somewhere. I lost. Here it is. Back behind the cutting machine. Back behind the marquee. Like, I don't watch my videos. It's too weird to me. So I wouldn't have gone back and seen that. And you probably would have all been like, you did do the O. But I found it. Okay, these do look like they're gonna be harder to put together if you use the adhesive sheet. That would work too, but that seems like my eyes are getting a little blurry here. Okay. L. I'll put it over here. O. Something about the E. I just like that E. It just looks friendly to me. You ever put personality on letters? Sometimes I do that. That is a friendly E. L O V E. I guess the other thing I liked was the lowercase. I liked getting the lowercase letters along with the uppercase letters. See? All right. I'm going to end this here. I am happy with this, and I like them. I like the size of them. They're not real big, but they're not super small. They just feel like a good size. They just really do. Feel like a good size. So, I'm very happy with them. I really like the font. It's a good all-around font, right? It's not super plain. It's not super boxy. It's not super fancy. Just like we just make words up as we go. Anyways, we're good. All right. So I'm going to stop right here. If you like my video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me again. Everybody have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.